Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another fourth stimulus check unemployment benefits extension update. So we have really great news to share, as some of you guys may or may not know, but to finally put it out there, is that the Senate has now officially approved of the fourth stimulus package physical infrastructure bill. So what's going on is that right now that they have approved the bill, which is priced at about $1 trillion, they will now be taking it and moving into the House in order for hopefully an approval over there so that they can finally make the actual official complete entire approval. But the really great news about that even more so is that it means that now that they've officially approved it in the Senate, they are now turning their attention to now focus on the human infrastructure bill. And this is the bill that I think most of us really care about. Technically, all of these bills will have some kind of benefit to our lives, because the physical infrastructure at the end of the day, if you happen to go out, if you happen to have a car, if you happen to drive, if anything, it's certainly at least going to create more jobs and help with different things like water, climate change that many people don't always fully think about. But regardless about that is that the great news is that now it also means that they will be moving on to the human infrastructure, which is now the part of the stimulus package that is going to potentially hopefully provide money into our pocket, whether it's through other kinds of stimulus programs like the child tax credit, other tax programs. And so the really great news is that now that they've moved forward into those negotiations, we can now maybe start to see more exciting stuff, or certainly even more exciting stuff come out. But the idea is that in today's update, I really just want to talk about what's currently inside of this bill, the story, what's been going on. We do have updates about the fourth stimulus check. So if you're interested in hearing about this, the general fourth stimulus check program, we do have some updates about that. So we're going to cover all of that in today's update. But as always, maybe before we begin, remember to smash the like button in light of a lot of this great news, because it's always greatly appreciated. Consider subscribing for similar videos like this on stimulus, unemployment, other finance topics. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, thoughts about honestly just really anything at all, or maybe any thoughts that you think about the current stimulus package or unemployment, or really just anything. So with that being said, let's get this video started right now. So as just mentioned is that the fourth stimulus package infrastructure bill was just approved inside of the Senate, priced at about $1 trillion. It was approved under a vote of 69 to 30. So really great numbers, in the sense that what it really shows is that they were finally able to get some Republicans to sign up on board, which means that because they were able to approve it through actual bipartisan means, they were able to successfully find people from both parties to support it. Then it also means is that now they can still use budget reconciliation for a future bill, which is looking very likely that they very likely will be using it on the human infrastructure. Although if they can maybe gain bipartisan support there, it would be of course even better. But of course that's something that we don't fully know yet. But the idea is it's really great news, because it means that the option is out there, and I think that's the big thing. If you are interested in just quickly hearing about what's inside of this bill, this is the really fast summary. I'll just read it super quickly, but essentially it's going to be about $550 billion of new spending money for infrastructure programs. There's going to hopefully be able to add jobs, improve roads, highways, and infrastructure, exactly as the name suggests. $110 billion for roads and bridges and major projects, $66 billion for rails, both passenger and freight, $65 billion for broadband, $55 billion for water systems, and $39 billion for public transportation, as well as all of the other programs that we probably can expect. So the big thing in terms of what's next is that they're going to essentially now be taking this bill into the House to hopefully gain approval there. Now the story is that in most typical situations, it is much harder to get bills approved inside of the Senate. So if they were able to approve it inside of the Senate, then it looks like it's more promising to get approved in the House. However, At this current time, there are still a lot of debate and question about whether or not they want to potentially modify parts of the bill, especially because Nancy Pelosi has also come out where she is actually a little bit hesitant, or simply just put is unsure about what she fully wants to do. There are some talks that she may want to end up trying to approve both the physical and the human infrastructure bill together so she can make sure she has everything put in place that she wants. Of course, this part is still up to debate, but the idea is at least half of the process, and one of the harder parts of the process, is now officially approved and gone through. The biggest concern that they currently have is really just about certain parts of the package and programs, especially related to taxes. I think that is probably one of the biggest talking points about a lot of the tax policies. Some say that they might be taxing cryptocurrencies. So there's a lot of stuff related to that they're still kind of debating on, but at least we finally have something that's been set in stone on the table. Now, in terms of what's going to be coming up next, so the big thing that's going to be coming up next is that we're essentially right now going to have to wait for the actual text of the human infrastructure bill, or rather just simply put as text, because the reason is that it's very likely is that they're going to be now working on the legislation, and they're going to be modifying likely several times over the next couple of weeks. So we have to see what they physically put down on paper and what they end up negotiating, since it's very likely going to be modified several times. Now, one thing it is maybe important to notice is that a lot of the politicians are currently, or will be very, very soon, going on vacation, and I believe is that they will be going on vacation, which crazy to think right now we're kind of in the middle of August. It's likely looking, according to their schedule, is that they're going to be on vacation, and this is essentially, you can even consider this almost as like the month-long Labor Day vacation, where they're going to be going from today, or simply put this week, all the way until essentially around the middle of September, and then they're going to be coming back in order to try to pick up the negotiations from there. But the great news is that at least they were able to go on vacation on relatively a positive note, and I think that's the really big thing. Technically, their vacation was already supposed to start a couple of days ago, but what really ended up happening is Chuck Schumer ended up holding them in session so that they can finally do what we just recently talked about that they were finally able to do. So I think it is really, really promising right there. Now, when it comes to the story with the fourth stimulus check, so the great news is exactly like last time, where it is still very, very much on the table, but maybe one biggest difference is that now we are actually seeing even more support start to come out from a lot of different people. I believe at this time there are about 21 senators that are in support of it, 50 economists, so many people even outside of Congress. It is not necessarily a priority, but it's definitely in consideration. In fact, a lot of people actually speculate that because of the rise of Delta that's going on, and the fact that there's so many states that are already starting to make certain plans but then reverse the decision on their plans, whether this has to do with things like masks, vaccine, travel, all sorts of different things. It is not a surprise, and it is very subtle and low-key under the radar right now, that some people believe that they may be trying to insert a fourth stimulus check. It is not confirmed. There are no specific plans at it yet, but there is definitely speculation that they may be trying to do this, especially now that they've officially moved on to the actual human infrastructure part of the stimulus package / plan. Of course, the petition right now that's been going on is still very, very much growing. I believe their goal is 3 million signatures, and I believe right now they're at about 2.8 million signatures. So the idea is several million people. That's a lot of people, and I think the big idea is that that support and number is really only growing, especially even more true with the Delta cases also growing. That's going to very, very likely potentially demand, or certainly be used as an argument to support why there may be an even greater need going forward. And if anything, it is very, very possible that even if they don't necessarily do a general fourth stimulus check, they may be trying to find some kind of leeway or way to squeeze in a stimulus check, but in a lot of other kinds of programs, or a much more niche version of it. So whether this comes in the form of a child tax credit, more money for that. Obviously, as some of you guys know, there was recently a teacher's stimulus check for anyone in the education industry for $1,000. There was also also several state stimulus checks, like in California, where some people might be getting a 5th stimulus check. Of course, I already made videos about that, so we won't talk as much about that. I'll put videos at the end screen. I believe one of them is just called the $1,000 stimulus. The next one is called the $600 stimulus. So it talks a lot more about that. But the biggest takeaway really is just the fact that it means that we are making progress. And I think that is the big thing. Of course, we maybe wish that they were not, taking so many vacations and maybe they could come back for their vacations sooner. But at least the idea is that we now officially have one part of the infrastructure bill approved. We officially have the other part of the infrastructure bill that they will now be moved on to. And this is the part that's going to potentially include all of the stimulus programs that we're going to hopefully be able to potentially now look forward to. And that stimulus checks and the other programs is still very, very much on the table. Of course, because Delta is still rising, it will be a little bit of an inconvenience for us in terms of our daily general life, but maybe on a somewhat silver lining is that it can potentially be used in support of more stimulus checks. Of course, that part right now is still really, really much a question mark. But essentially, that's what I pretty much just really wanted to cover in today's update. So if you guys maybe enjoyed that, consider smashing the like button. If you guys haven't done so already, consider subscribing and hitting the bell. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, thoughts about anything. If you are watching this on release date, have a great, safe, awesome, fun weekend, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.